Hello and good morning to the allotment journey. Welcome. You find me sat inside the incredibly hot polytunnel today. I realised I should have done this video before I posted the first attempt at making a video for this channel. So I thought today what I will do is I'll give you a little tour around the allotment, show you what's growing and the constant battle with the weeds that even when we get this hot weather like we have today, they seem to thrive, yet the vegetables that we attempt to grow seem to struggle. It's a constant battle. So yeah, I'm going to show you around the polytunnel, what's growing, what isn't growing, and show you around the beds, the fruit cage, and the smaller plot which we have plans for in September. So it should be an interesting time. So let's get you taken around. So let's have a look in the polytunnel, shall we? And see what's growing and what isn't growing. So we've got some down here. We've got some little squashes that are hopefully going to trail up the canes, but they seem to be taking forever and seem to be affected by the heat at the moment. Some need to be tied in as well, and we've got the strawberries that were potted on from the runners from the fruit cage. They seem to be doing really well, and they'll soon be ready to be potted into the bed that they're gonna spend the next few years giving us lots of lovely strawberries in. And then this bed, which looks empty at the moment, has actually got carrots planted in it. They're just not germinating just yet. It won't be long until they've started to poke their little heads through. And down here we have some broccoli and turnip, some kale slowly coming up, and some lettuces that need to be transplanted into another bed which we've already got prepared, and some more turnips there slowly starting to grow, which is always nice to see when you've got your little seedlings coming up. And then next door we've got a nice bed of lettuce which is growing lovely. It's the Larosso Blonde, I believe it's called, and it's an absolutely fantastic lettuce, packed full of flavour, absolutely beautiful. Here we have some more butternut squashes which are starting to climb. I did see a squash on it the other day, but I think it may have dropped off. We have some courgettes. Got one coming along down there. There it is, just growing away nicely. And here is the bed that those lettuces will be transplanted in. Some tumbling Tom tomatoes. Well, this one doesn't seem to be tumbling very much. I think the seeds may have been a little bit wrong with that one. And here we have a lovely bed full of carrots. Some more strawberries down here that have been potted up, and they're coming on fantastically well. And then in here we have heritage varieties of beetroots which are ready to be pulled, and this massive triffid thing here by the side, on both sides, is a cucumber. It's the crystal lemon variety, which it seems to be putting on a load of leaf and getting taller by the day. I've never grown this variety before, There's some more over there that I need to string in and tie up. It's starting to try and creep out to the side, but it seems to be putting on all the growth, but no cucumbers yet. And then over here, this beast that's growing up is a kukikuri squash, and it's seems to be loving it in this position. I planted it in at the edge where the strawberries are, because there was a little bit of room and I needed to get him in, but he seems to be really liking it there. To this bed, just a little salad bed which is growing up here. Some what we got in there, we got lettuce, beetroots, some radishes, some more radishes down there coming up, and some spring onions which are starting to come up in this row here. Right, let's have a little look in the fruit cage. We've got a couple of tomato plants which I had to take out from a raspberry bed, because before we put the raspberries in this year, we had tomatoes in last year that randomly seeded, and these grew. So rather than waste them, and they couldn't stay where the raspberries were, we potted them on into little pots, and they seem to be coming along, and they're slowly starting to turn and go orange, which is always a lovely sight to see. And along here, this is our strawberry beds, but I'm thinking of changing them next year. I think I might take them out and repot them on. I'm thinking of maybe some guttering so that they can hang either side, make it easier to pick them, and that way they don't sit onto the soil. But yeah, these are growing on really well. We've got a lovely crop off of them this year. Now this sorry bed, this is the gooseberries, and every single year, I don't know why, they get attacked by caterpillars every year. The poor things. So this bed has been neglected, terribly neglected, but it's a job to get on. I might take them out and try and put them somewhere else and see if they like it somewhere else and they don't get attacked by the caterpillars so much. Then the raspberries, which are doing absolutely lovely. We've had so many off of these as well, which is always nice to see. They're lovely juicy raspberries as well. Some more blueberries down here, look. These are the autumn variety, although they're not doing as well as the ones that are picking now. Not quite sure why they're not doing as well. They're all planted in their ericaceous compost, but I think they may have needed a little bit more feed, which is probably what stunted them a little bit, but we'll get them back to where they should be. This is another 2 beds of raspberries, which are again growing really well. This is the rhubarb that was put in at the end of last year, so we can't pick it at the moment. It needs to be weeded out. I had a bad back for 5 weeks, so it's kind of put me behind with the weeding, but I'm going to get back on top of it. It's not a problem, and it's part of the fun, part of the constant battle. This is the peas, which need to be tied in. They're coming up well, but they just need to be tied in and sorted out with some more supports running through the middle that they can climb. But yeah, these ones at the back here, they're starting to climb slowly. And then around the corner we've got the blackberries, the big Tom, which are really juicy, and I'm harvesting these now and I'm freezing them down for the winter, which will make some nice jams and jellies with, maybe some pies. Now these are I can never remember if they're the Prima-Canes or the Floricane raspberries, but these are the ones that need to be tied in. I've got to put some supports in here and then run the wiring along so they can all be tied in, because they are now starting to flop, and it's they need to all be tied in. So that's a job for this week, maybe next week. These are the red currants, which again I kind of gave up with because they got terribly attacked by caterpillars as well, which is crazy. They had the gooseberries, they left the blackberries, and they came along and they attacked the red currants, left the raspberries. They obviously don't like raspberries and black currants, but love red currants and gooseberries. Must be their favourite diet. Got some more raspberries in this pot, and some more raspberries in the pot down there to the behind. They're going to come out next year and going to be planted in the pea bed when they can be transplanted, because they make they're true lemon raspberries and they have the most amazing flavour. These are the black currants, growing really well. They've only been in a year or so, so they're putting on lovely growth. Need to be pruned back in the winter, but yeah, hopefully they will fruit more next year when they're into their third year. But yeah, it's coming along nicely. And these have been absolutely fantastic, these blueberries this year. These ones are the summer fruiting ones. The other ones I showed you were the autumn fruiting, but these ones have just been fantastic. The amount of blueberries we've had off of them is just wonderful, and they just taste so good. And here in this pot is one of the Christmas potatoes that we've got planted. Got some more up the back in pots which need to be topped up. We have the leeks, which are slowly starting to all come up, and they're all growing well. Protected with the leaf trap in the top there to try and stop the leaf moth. In here we have a bed of kale which needs weeding out, but it seems to be growing slowly, if not at funny old angles, but it's getting there slowly, with the odd snail that's deciding to have a munch. And then here we have the sweet corn, which is been a bit slow this year. Other people's on their plots is a lot taller, but it seems to now be putting on some growth, so hopefully we'll get a couple of ears of corn out of it. And then in here we have the worst swede I've ever grown in here. A complete and utter failure. They're dwarfed with weeds, because these beds, for some bizarre reason, they got that terrible weed in it that's an absolute nightmare to try and get rid of. Every time we touch it, the seeds spring and jump like jumping jacks all over the place. And in here is the other Christmas potatoes, which is coming along, just getting covered by the giant buddleia which is there, absolutely massive. It's a white one, which I've not seen very many white ones before. In here, this is a bed of parsnips which are coming along, and they've actually grown so big. I'm going to have to probably take the cover off because they're getting so big. And in here, this is some more Swedes, slowly growing. They seem to be better than the previous Swedes, but I don't know what's going on really with them. They're not as great as the ones I've grown in the past, but we'll see. They've still got a lot of growing to do. And then we got the first of the cabbages in this bed. One got eaten, but one of the massive Ryan Greek, well, I say massive, it's 12 foot by 8 foot, or 12 foot by 6 foot, 12 foot by 8 I think. And yeah, it's a lovely greenhouse, full of storage at the moment, but that's another project to get on with. But yes, the great greenhouse is so strong in the wind. This is the smaller one that's going to be used for all the seedlings next year. Once it's been cleaned out. Water butts for the storage for the water for the winter. And in here, some more of the Bolt Hardy beetroot, which is growing really well. It's done really well this year, as it always does. Beetroot seems to be one of them things that's easy to grow and generally does very well. Going to be doing some more pickling with that to store it down for the winter. And in here, this is celeriac, which I've never grown before and love eating it, but just never grown it before, so I don't know if it's growing well. It looks well, but I don't know if the bulbs are growing underneath. I can't really tell, and I don't really want to dig around it and disturb it too much. And here is more squashes and chard, although the chard is absolutely dwarfed with the weeds, which I will get weeded out. Again, it's the constant battle with the weeds and everything, but this was my pumpkin arch. Put all the arches up, wired them over to give the little things a nice chance to grow up, but they just, I don't know, for some reason the squashes seem to be incredibly slow this year. I don't know. How are your squashes all growing? Are they growing well, if you're growing any? And if you are, what varieties you're growing? These are butternut in here and kukikuri, and there is another variety but I can't remember the name of it. And these are little bush runner beans growing at the side here. And these, I've never had these before, but these are called bull's blood, and I believe they're like a Swiss chard. You can eat them like a Swiss chard, but also underneath, once you finish with them, you can harvest the bulb, which is apparently a beetroot. But as I say, I've never grown these before, so we shall see. They seem to be doing better than the chard, but then again, these aren't smothered by weeds, which is probably giving them a good chance of survival. And then here is the absolutely massive dog rose, which was absolutely beautiful earlier on in the year with all the flowers. and this is going to be the seating area. I've got some decking which I'm going to put back together because I had to cut it and move it from somewhere else. I'm going to lay it all under here. So you've got the buddleia and the rose to give a nice seating area. And the birds love it under here because it's made a little arch underneath, which I need to get the paving slabs out that are under there, which is going to be great fun to get those out from under there, crouching down. So yeah, that's the tour of the main allotment. Some things are growing really well, other things not so well. I've got some plans of things I want to do. I want to build a shed for storage. I do have a little summer house which I need to try and get transported back up here so that I can put that up as a nice little seating area in the winter. I'd like to try and put some solar on it to have a little bit of power up here for things. But yeah, it's actually so nice to sit up here with the birds and the foxes, although they are a pain when they decide to dig things up. But the cubs are incredibly cute, as everyone knows, but just wish they wouldn't dig everything up and try and eat the stuff that we're growing. But that's wildlife for you. Yeah, so that's everything on the main plot, and I shall show you the little plot, which is about 30 foot by 30 foot. This main one is 108 by 32 foot, so it's a fairly big plot, and we've managed to get quite a lot on here. A lot of hard work with filling the beds, which luckily my friend helped me put the beds together and fill the beds last year. So that's one massive job that was done, and it was about 22 tons of topsoil to fill all of the beds, using 2 wheelbarrows. It was back-breaking work, but it was good fun as well. And we're starting to see the fruits of our labour from all the hard work that's been done up here. So let me go and show you the smaller allotment now. Here we are on the small allotment, which is just next door to the big one. Yeah, it's going to have some interesting things done. We're going to put potentially another tunnel on here in September, but not a polytunnel like we have on the other plot. We might go with the net tunnel, so it's less hard work to try and keep everything surviving inside with the heat that's hits in there, because that polytunnel this year has hit 52 already this year. It's crazy to try and keep things alive, but that's going to go over here if I put it in the tunnel, which gives us more space to grow brassicas and things like that through the winter to keep it protected from the dreaded cabbage whitefly. And this is the rhubarb that's growing on here. It's absolutely massive. It's done so well again this year. Always does well, this one. I'm hoping that the smaller ones I showed you on the other plot in the fruit cage over there are going to grow as good as this one, so that we can have lots of crumble in the winter time, freeze it down, store it. How do you store yours? Do you freeze it, or do you just cook it and use it straight away? I'll be intrigued to know. Here, got to weed this back out again, cover it, and in the winter I'm going to order some more fruit trees to go on here, because we've already got a few fruit trees already. We've got a Bramley here, which went in back in January, and then over here we've got some Caldens. This one, I believe, is a russet. if I remember rightly. Yes, that's a russet, that one, which when we put it in was a tiny little twig. It's amazing how well it's done. And this one is a Christmas pippin, which I think is a bit like a cox. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we shall. This one is a green gage. They're all cordons, so they don't take up a lot of room, which is handy, because as I say, I want to put another 4 up the other end of cordons. And this one is a cox, this one. And so yeah, here we are back in the polytunnel. Incredibly hot, 43.7 it is now. So it's now starting to get rather hot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little tour briefly of the allotment and how it's growing. And yes, I think this afternoon I can go home for lunch now, and then I'll come back up this afternoon, do some tying in, some dreaded weeding that seems to be the forever battle. Then once the sun's gone down a little bit, I shall do the watering, and that shall be it for today. And then we start again tomorrow. I might get the drone up and take a shot to give a bird's eye view of the plot at the moment, and then do that regularly so we can see the progression as it slowly starts to clear. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to hear from some of you in the comments possibly. And if you liked this video and you want to see the journey continue, then please hit the subscribe button and the like button. Thank you for now. Goodbye. Just picking a little lettuce and a few radishes to have with the salad stuff we've got at home. You just can't beat homegrown.